Every country has its strengths and weaknesses. Some are known for their natural beauty, others for their food, history, or innovation. But there are very few places where hundreds of small, seemingly insignificant details come together to make everyday life noticeably easier. Most visitors notice Japan's temples, neon lights, and bullet trains. These are pretty impressive, but they're only part of the story of what makes Japan different. The real difference is found in ordinary moments of everyday life here. Buying lunch, catching a train, mailing a package, or simply walking through a city. Individually, these things don't seem very extraordinary, but together they reveal a country that has spent decades, and some may argue centuries, refining the details of everyday life. None of this means Japan is perfect. Of course it isn't. But there are certain systems and habits that are genuinely difficult to find anywhere else in the world, especially all together. Here are some of the things Japan does exceptionally well. One of the first things people notice, without even realizing it, is how much thought has gone into everyday products in Japan. Take something as simple as an onigiri, or rice ball, wrapped in dried seaweed that are sold in convenience stores across Japan. The packaging isn't just wrapping, it's engineered so that the seaweed stays completely separate from the rice until the exact moment the customer opens it. Pull one strip, then another, and somehow the plastic disappears while the seaweed wraps perfectly around the rice without ever becoming soggy. It may seem a bit tricky at first for newcomers, but once you get the hang of it. That same attention to detail appears everywhere. Some examples? Milk cartons in Japan have a small notch on the top that allows visually impaired shoppers to identify them by touch. Similarly, cans have textured markings that distinguish alcoholic drinks from soft drinks. Drink cartons are designed to collapse neatly so every last drop can be squeezed out. And types of cans are constantly evolving to produce the ultimate satisfaction when drinking a beer. Even restaurants reflect this philosophy. Outside many establishments are incredibly realistic plastic food displays showcasing what's on the menu. They are so accurate that customers know exactly what they're ordering before they even walk inside. Even if there's no English, for tourists who don't speak Japanese, they remove a lot or almost all of the guesswork about the food. Individually, innovations like these seem minor, but collectively, they reveal a culture that constantly asks a simple question. How can this be made just a little easier? Many countries have trains. Japan has built an entire culture and working society around making them dependable. Now, I've covered this before, and the famous punctuality of Japanese railways is often discussed, but what's more interesting is on the odd occasion when something actually goes wrong. If a commuter train is delayed by only a few minutes, passengers can receive an official delay certificate to show their employer or school. The assumption isn't that people should simply explain themselves. The railway company formally acknowledges that it disrupted someone else's schedule. It's just a small piece of paper, but it says a great deal about how seriously punctuality is taken here. And this respect for people's time extends beyond the simple transportation of people. Major train stations are filled with clean, secure coin lockers or storage services, where travelers can store luggage for hours or even days without worrying about carrying heavy bags around the city. For longer journeys, luggage forwarding services allow suitcases to be delivered directly to the next hotel, airport, or even private residences, often overnight and for surprisingly little cost. Instead of dragging heavy luggage through crowded stations and trains, travelers can simply continue their trip with a backpack. Then there are Japan's convenience stores. Calling them convenience stores doesn't really do them justice, especially compared to those in other parts of the world. In Japan, they function more like neighborhood service centers. Bills can be paid, concert tickets can be purchased, parcels can be collected or shipped, ATMs are available around the clock, fresh meals, coffee, alcohol, desserts, and basic groceries are always within reach, in most cases for 24 hours a day. In most instances, a quick stop at the convenience store solves problems that would otherwise require visiting several different businesses. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Japan isn't what people do, it's what they don't do. Walk through smaller towns and countryside villages, and vending machines appear in places where they seem completely out of place. Along quiet country roads, beside rice fields, or halfway up mountain routes. Many sell both hot and cold drinks. Most remain unlocked or bolted down to the ground. Almost all remain untouched. These machines themselves are functionally state-of-the-art, but the fact that they can exist at all without constant vandalism or theft is even more remarkable. I know they wouldn't last very long unscathed in my country of origin. The same pattern appears elsewhere. Farmers sometimes leave vegetables outside with nothing more than an honesty box for payment. People reserve seats in cafes and restaurants with a notebook, a jacket, a shopping bag, sometimes even a purse or backpack. Construction equipment and supplies outside shops are often left unattended overnight. None of these practices would work without a high level of public trust. Perhaps the most famous example of this is the lost property system in Japan. Wallets containing cash, smartphones, cameras, jewelry. Every year, an enormous number of lost items are turned into police boxes or station staff and eventually returned to their owners. For many visitors, it's one of the first moments that genuinely challenges their assumptions about how a modern-day society can function with safety and respect for others. Many of Japan's unwritten rules revolve around one simple idea: avoid creating unnecessary inconvenience for other people. On commuter trains, conversations are usually quiet. Phone calls are avoided. Music rarely escapes from headphones. The result isn't silence because people are being forced to stay quiet. It's silence because most people have reached the same conclusion independently. Everyone shares the same space, so treat others as you would want to be treated. The same thinking appears in queues or lines. Whether waiting for a train, an elevator, or the cashier at a convenience store or a restaurant, orderly lines form naturally, usually without barriers or staff directing people where to stand. Public spaces also remain remarkably clean despite the surprising lack of trash bins. This is often annoying to foreign tourists as they are constantly wondering where all the garbage bins have gone. The answer is simple. People usually carry their trash until they reach home or somewhere appropriate to dispose of it. Again, it's not one dramatic policy or law. It's millions of small decisions made by everyone, every day. And this philosophy begins early. In Japanese elementary schools, students regularly clean their own classrooms, sweep hallways, wipe desks, and help serve lunch to classmates. The purpose is not what you might think. It isn't to reduce cleaning costs. It's to develop responsibility and respect for shared spaces from an early age. By adulthood, many of these habits no longer require conscious thought as to why they're doing it. They've simply become normal and are applied to everyday life. Another defining characteristic of Japan is the expectation that ordinary experiences should still be done well. Customer service is perhaps the clearest example. Whether visiting an expensive department store or small neighborhood shop, customers are usually greeted politely and treated with the same level of professionalism. Employees frequently walk customers directly to the item they're looking for instead of pointing across the store. Purchases are packaged carefully, questions are answered, usually patiently. This level of service rarely depends on the size of the purchase or the expectation of a tip. The same mindset extends to craftsmanship. Across the country, artisans continue traditions that require decades of practice. Many dedicate an entire career to refining a single skill. This Japanese concept of shokunin places value not only on the finished project, but also on the lifelong pursuit of mastering a craft. Even something so different from these traditional skills, like convenience store food, reflect this philosophy. Fresh rice balls, sandwiches, pasta, fried chicken, desserts, and coffee are produced to a standard that often surprises first-time visitors for a convenience store. In Japan, people expect a level of quality regardless of price, location, or situation. As mentioned, none of these examples are especially dramatic on their own. A better package, a quieter train, a cleaner street, a punctual railway, a returned wallet. Each one seems like a small improvement, but when hundreds of these small improvements exist at the same time, they begin to shape everyday life in ways that are surprisingly noticeable. Perhaps that's Japan's greatest strength. Not that it has created one revolutionary system, but that it has spent decades refining hundreds of ordinary ones. These refinements don't always make headlines, and most tourists never notice many of them. But together, they create a country where daily life often feels smoother, more predictable, and just a little less stressful. And sometimes it's these invisible details, not the famous landmarks or technological advancements, that leave the strongest impression long after a tourist's trip is over. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, as always, please subscribe to the channel and share it with anyone who you think might be interested in more tidbits from Japan.